Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Talking Locs podcast with Locitude. This is the Everyday People with Locs series, and I am your host, Adie Balogun. This episode is produced by Savage Media. Today, we discuss Locs and the LGBT community. While one person can't speak for all, we make a connection to the community through our guest, Pamela Adie, and her experiences. Pamela is a Nigerian LGBT rights activist, public speaker, screenwriter, and filmmaker. She is also the executive director of a non-governmental organization called the Equality Hub. Pamela is also a dear friend, huge supporter of Locitude, and a long-time customer. In this episode, the EHTV network and Equality Hub are providing us with a promo code that allows you to see her latest production, Ife, at a discount. And now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Hi Pamela, welcome to the Talking Locs with Locitude podcast, and this is the Everyday People with Locs series. I'm very happy to have you here. Please can you go ahead and tell us, maybe your full name and a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you for having me, Adie. My name is Pamela Adie. I'm a filmmaker and an LGBT rights advocate. I work for the Equality Hub, which is an organization that uses visual storytelling to advocate for the rights and acceptance of LGBTQ women, lesbian, bisexual, and queer women in Nigeria. I live in Lagos, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, great. I think the next best first question I can ask is, how long have you had your locks?
So, this is the second time that I actually have locks. So I'm on my second lock journey. The first time, before I cut my hair last year, I had locks for 8 years. And then I cut it all off. And then I started my second journey about a month ago. So my new locks are about a month old.
Oh my God, you're a baby, and at the same time, you're like a full-grown adult with locks. Okay.
Exactly.
We'll come back to talking a little bit more about your locks, but I wanted to shed some more light for people who may not know and people who will be wondering. In the LGBT community, and you did say your work is specifically for L, B, and the Q, but there's so many letters. There's the LGBTQ, which we're more familiar with, and there's an I and there's an A. Can you briefly try and explain to us what the differences are and how they are, seen as, or how I put it, how they're categorized almost in the same group, but yet it's all different?
So LGBTQI is an acronym for sexual minorities. And when I say sexual minorities, I mean lesbian, bisexual, gay, bisexual, queer, intersex, trans, and asexual people. And so pretty much, I think people already know what lesbian means. First, a woman who is, sexually, physically, and emotionally attracted to another woman or women. And obviously, gay is referring to a man who is emotionally, sexually, physically attracted to other men. And then bisexual people are people who are attracted to people of both men and women, or people that do not identify as any specific gender. Trans people are people who transitioned from their sex of birth to a different sex or gender. And then you have intersex people, who are people who were born with both genitalia, people who were born with both male and female genitalia. And then you have asexual people who are who do not have any how do I say this? They are not interested in having sex. They're not attracted to how do I say that now? How do I explain that? Sexual people are people who are not interested in having sex. So it doesn't matter if you're male or female. They're pretty much just interested in the people, but not really in sex. And asexuality is it's a very broad spectrum, which I don't think I should go into right now. But if someone is interested in reading up, there's a lot of information online about that.
Okay, it's very interesting, and thanks for taking out your time to explain all the alphabets within the group as it is. And while you were speaking, I liked the word that you used, sexual minorities, because a lot of people might be wondering, why are we even doing a podcast themed Locs and LGBT? For me, who have run a Loc studio for 6 years by July now, I do know that a good percentage of my customers are from the LGBTQ community. So that kind of makes me want to wonder, what is the link? And I feel that having locked hair in Nigeria, especially, you are seen as part of the minority. And you did say that this group of people are sexual minority. So I think my next question is, do you think there's even any link with why people who identify and who are, let me not say identify, who are LGBTQ, or who are amongst the sexual minorities, let me put it that way, also decide to use locked hair as a means of expression of self?
I don't know that there's any official or studied link, but I think that a lot of people in this community, I think, first of all, even having Locs in a place like Nigeria is already like a rebellious thing. You are already going against the quote-unquote social norms of what people consider beautiful hair or good hair, because Locs, or what they call it, dreadlocks, which I don't call it anymore, or what people call dada. Mm-hmm. It's usually something that people say for like quote-unquote rascals. You maybe smoke weed, or you are not taken seriously, or it's not a presentable way of carrying your hair, and all of those colonialist language that came with colonization. So I think that so even just having Locs alone is already something that is seen as taking back your power, and self-expression. So I'm not really sure why the community feels like that is, or a lot of people in that community have Locs. But I can speak for myself.
Yes, so I was going to get there.
Yeah, exactly. So when I started my Locs, for me, it was a sign of freedom. It was something that I was doing to express myself, because when you have been, it's almost like you don't really know that you've been caged until you are set free. So when I set myself free by coming out of the closet, I really felt like I wanted to do something to my hair that was expressive of that, and so that was why I decided to lock my hair, and which is why my hair will always be locked. Mm-hmm. Even if I may have breaks, maybe 1 or 2 years, but I always come back to my dada, because for me, and another thing too is it's very African. It's the way that kinky hair is supposed to grow until the white man came and told us different. So everything changed from then on. So I see it also as part of going back to my roots and being true to myself.
I think that your statement's very concise, but it's packed with a lot of strong words that I personally identify with. Not only having Locs myself, but just understanding the fact that you do feel a sense of freedom, a sense of going back to your roots, a sense of your being African. So I want to talk a little bit now about the work you're doing in activism of the LGBTQ community, in the sense that whilst this program is very much about Locs, I'm trying to see. I think this conversation is really pondering and saying, if so many people in the LGBT community choose Locs as a hairstyle and as a freedom of expression, is there a link? But you did say Locs as viewed, especially in Nigeria, as a form of rebellion and as a way of deviating from social norms. People, and I think the work I have been doing personally at Locitude is trying to make people see that if there's supposed to be anything as like a social norm, it should be locking your hair. That should be the first normal. And wearing a weave is actually deviating from social norms. So I'm wondering if in the work you do in activism, this question, I feel like I'm going around in circles, but anyway, I'll get to it. I'm wondering if the work you do in activism, do you feel like, are you trying to normalize the sexual minorities with your work? Is that what it is about? Is that a way of describing it? Is there any link to that?
Is there a link to sorry, I didn't get the exact question, sorry.
Okay, so my question is, I think in my own work personally with Locs, I'm trying to get people to see that Locs is a form of wearing your hair as an African, of being true to yourself. And in the conversation, you did mention that you chose to lock your hair at the point where you decided to come out of the closet, in being true to yourself. So now the question really is, in my understanding, LGBTQIA is not a choice, is how you are. And so I'm trying to understand what activism in that community means for you. What are you trying to achieve with your activism?
Okay, I understand your question now. Yes, so definitely, obviously, the things that we in my work, the big thing that we try to advocate for is there are two big, no, I should not say two, three big things or three major things. Number one, we always see reports in the news about violence, about people getting killed or getting arrested, just because they are LGBT, or because somebody told the police that they're having a party, and the people who are having a party there are LGBT people, so police will run there and arrest people. We also have the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, which says that you can't marry somebody of the same sex. It says you cannot show same-sex affection in public. It says you cannot run what they call a gay organization. And then obviously in the north you have the legal code. Is it legal code? Sorry, the penal code. Sorry, you have the penal code that says that you can be killed. If you're caught, in the act of having sex with someone of the same sex. So all of these things, there are obviously also people who have lost their jobs because maybe they were outed, people who have been kicked out of their homes, rejected by their families. Some landlords have thrown people out of their apartments or homes because somebody outed them. there are so many things. There's harassment. There are so many things that happen to LGBT people solely because of their sexual orientation and gender identity. And so the core of my activism is, one, to stop all of that, to say that LGBT people are also people and Nigerians, and we are entitled to the same rights as everybody else. So freedom of association, freedom of expression, freedom to. We're not asking for marriage yet, but maybe eventually. Obviously, freedom to marry, freedom to, your rights as a tenant, your rights as somebody the right to be protected in the workplace from harassment, and we're also trying to help families to see that families that have people or children that identify as LGBT or that are LGBT, to be able to see that it is not such people are not under any kind of spiritual attack, because that's the normal thing that people say, or the usual thing that people say. They say they'll carry you to religious houses, supposedly pray the gay away. So we're trying to let people know that it is not this. That's actually not what it is, and it's not a sexual deviation. It is not a social abnormality. LGBT people are normal people like everybody else, like me, like you. So we're trying to see how that can happen. We're trying to see how people can be protected from arbitrary arrests, from unauthorized detention, from being targeted just because of their sexual orientation, and all of that. So really at the core of our advocacy is, one, social acceptance, two, legal change. When I say legal change, I mean the change in the legal system, and to see how being same-sex acts, same-sex sexual acts can be decriminalized, and then also to see how LGBT people can be protected in various spaces, like work or home or just other spaces in society in general. So that's really the core of what it's about.
Yeah, I think the work you're doing is very, very important and very impactful for the community. And I just want to applaud you, because it takes a lot of balls, if I may say, to stand up for just not yourself, but for other people. Now, just what you were saying, I was just thinking about the vibe in Locitude Studio when people come in, because we are 100% authentic lock salon. So everybody who walks into our space has one thing in common, which is usually the hair. And no matter our religious beliefs, sexual orientation, corporate or non-corporate world, it's a mix of different type of people who tend to agree when we are in that space, even though we have different things that kind of make us different, from tribe and all sorts. I really do find that it's always interesting that when you see people with locks in the Locitude studio specifically, the conversation flows. Everybody feels like a brother and sister. Even outside the studio, you meet a lockhead, and you just have that nod with each other because you know that you share something in common. Can you tell me what? So for me, that's what kind of brings us together as lockheads, and we kind of recognize that you are, in most cases, fighting subconsciously, sometimes unconsciously, towards some sort of stereotype or discrimination. What is that one thing you think you can help somebody who is struggling with homophobia realize that an LGBT person is a person? Do you have anything that kind of breaks whatever shield is in front of someone's eyes, or removes that log so that we can see past whatever preconceptions they have?
Well, I mean, I don't think that you need anything to know that somebody else is a person, because it's very obvious that human beings are human beings, regardless of their person's sexual orientation or their gender identity or whatever. Because if I have seen situations where people have told me, I have this friend, very nice person, blah 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 blah. We used to be cool, I really like the person, and then I discovered that the person is gay. And then, I didn't want them to even touch me again. I didn't want them to even come near me. I didn't want to even have anything to do with them. And in my mind, I'm just like, okay, so the person was a human being then. Then you now discover that the person is attracted to people of the same sex, and then all of a sudden they have become the enemy. Like, does that make sense? Like, where is that coming from? Like, because the funny thing is, it is so irrational, because it's not like the person has done anything to you. Nobody has. They didn't even offend you, But what I discovered is, sometimes people are motivated by bias and ignorance and what religious leaders and houses or authorities preach, or what they say. Some people may just be saying it because they think that's what they're expected to say. Some people may, there are so many reasons. There's so many reasons. But I think it's pretty obvious to know that somebody is a human being, and because of the fact that they're a human being, I think that should be enough for you to put things aside. However, we know that's not how society works, because people are social creatures and people are socialized in certain ways, and so there are different. I think for me, which is the core of my work, is to tell stories, is to use stories to show the human side, to confront people with their biases, and for them to question themselves, like, wait, this thing I'm doing, is it actually working, or is it harming somebody? Is it causing other people pain? Is it, do you understand? Like, and when I say this thing I'm doing, I mean homophobia, and being biased, and being discriminatory, So people need to, maybe if people hear stories of other people and the unnecessary suffering of other people just because of their sex, or their sexual orientation, maybe it might make people think. Because the funny thing I realized, Nigerians, we are so against racism. And we are so against racism. You would think that racism exists
in Nigeria.
But racism does not exist in Nigeria, because
we're actually more tribalist, if anything.
Exactly. We discriminate against people based on their tribe, on their, on where they come from. We discriminate against people based on their religion. We discriminate against people in this country based on even color of their skin. Now, these are all things that people were how do I say that? People were born into. You don't have control over your tribe. You don't have control over the color of your skin. You don't have control over what religion you were born into until you grow up, and then maybe you decide to do. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's the same thing as homophobia. Once you start discriminating against people just because of how they are, not because of what they have done to you, or not because they have done anything bad, then it's like a slippery slope. It's the same thing. Homophobia is the same thing as racism. The very core, the foundation of that kind of hatred and discrimination is the same. Right. Hating people for who they are, not because of their character or anything that they've done to harm anyone. And so if people can see that discriminating against people because of their tribe or religion or even their sex is wrong, then I don't know why people cannot also see that discriminating against someone because of their sexual orientation, which is innate, which they were born with, is actually also wrong. So those are the parallels that I try to draw from time to time.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, let's talk about your hair for a bit. So 8 years of having locks, you described it as a point in time where you associated deciding that hair choice as freedom. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did your hair make you feel free?
Well, for the most part, it made me feel free in the sense that I was able to choose what I wanted to do, and I was choosing something that was that expresses that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, as I said earlier, having locks is something that is not something that that is socially acceptable here in this part of the world. And that is in Nigeria, because when you go to other African countries like South Africa, almost everybody has dada. Men know, women know, children know. Almost everybody has locks. Yeah. Yes. So it's only in you rarely find people with weaves and wigs and whatever in those countries. But when you come to Nigeria, it's like the opposite. So even though I wasn't in Nigeria when I started my locks, for me, I knew what I was going through in my own personal life, and for me, having locks was freeing because it meant that I wasn't under the social constructs of society.
Right.
It meant for me that I had come to a point in my life where I was able to choose and choose consciously, that I was breaking free from some of the colonial legacies that were left behind by British colonialists, or should I call them colonizers?
I'm actually a bit quiet on that because I feel like the previous episodes that we've recorded on this Everyday People with Locks series, I'm always bringing the colonial part of it. I can't help it. Once you start having the conversations and you realize that, why are you afraid of your hair? Why is your African matted hair so dreadful? Why? And you just realize it's because somebody said so. And this somebody doesn't even care about you. So why are you holding on to that and projecting that on your brothers and sisters? Let me put it that way, people of your own race, and trying to get people to move to this norm that is not even normal. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Oh, okay. And I kind of admire, because I really did love your locks, the ones that have gone. And I'm happy that I was personally part of that journey for some part of that 8 years. And then you started by, first of all, cutting off 2 on the side, then getting an undercut, then traumatizing me little by little, and then shaving half of it off, and then eventually shaving all of it off. I've had my own locks now for, I think at the end of this year, it will be about 12 years. So I'm 11 years in. And I'm still afraid to cut my hair. So for something that meant so much, that you associated with the, I don't want to say realization of coming to self, but more like with the openness of coming out to self and freedom, how did you even let go of it? I started my own hair coincidentally, and I kind of let go of it. So for you, who it was very intentional, how were you able to let go and start again? Can you just take me on that journey? I think I need it personally, even.
Well, for me, I from the beginning, when I started my first love journey, I told myself that I would carry my hair for 8 years and then I would cut it. And the reason I said that was because I knew that at some point it would be so long and it would get uncomfortable for me. I also knew from research that I had done that, the longer your locks live, or the longer they are, or, that they begin to break, and which I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I would also expect when I want to go to sleep, sometimes I lie on my hair. When I want to move, it's the thing, I hurt myself, so yeah, I just knew that it was time. And again, I had a plan from the very start.
Beginning.
I told myself that I would cut it and then I will start it again. So when I cut the hair, I knew that I was going to start again. That was already given. And I think for me, I wasn't really looking at it as losing my freedom. I was looking at it as, okay, me just taking a break from this particular journey and starting again. So for me in my life, I'm all about starting over. I feel like people should be allowed to start over as many times as they like. And so my hair is also tied to that bit of starting over. So that's really what it was for me. And I wasn't going to go back. I wasn't really fixing my hair or relaxing my hair or, wearing anything. I was just carrying my hair as in its natural form, except that it wasn't locked.
Mm-hmm.
So that alone also in itself is also a form of freedom of expression. And so, an expression of freedom. And so that's what it was. It wasn't something for me, it was part of the plan. And it was something that I did because, again, I felt like, okay, starting over. And just because you cut something does not mean that you cannot grow it again. And for me, I also see it as a way of showing resilience. Sometimes, you face some things in your life and you feel that you cannot overcome them or that you cannot move past them. And then you find that you do. So I think that cutting my hair and starting again is kind of like a reaffirmation to myself to say that there is nothing you cannot overcome.
Right.
Even if things become so bad, you can always start again. So I don't have any fear of starting again. I don't have a fear of nurturing and growing. And for me, I think that those are the things that were most appealing.
Pamela, I think we should start a church because you've just been preaching and I've just been saying, You've been speaking to my soul sister. So I think my own time is near. It's very near. My commitment with my hair was that I wanted it to grow past my boobs, and I wanted to take a picture rising out of the water like a water goddess. And I did that last year.
Oh, shit.
So I did that last year. I did it topless as well, but nobody has seen that picture yet. Unfortunately for me, my boobs cooperated. They didn't sag too much for my hair not to be able to cover it. So
it's not fair, Adie. You should not want to scare the pictures of us.
Oh my. But I'm just So I do know that the time is coming where my hair is going. And I've always... People are like, oh, maybe you should trim it. But I feel like when I started my locks, my commitment to myself was like, if I want to cut it, I'm going to cut it all off and start again. So, yeah, maybe I'll cheat and trim it for a little bit before I cut it all off. I don't know. But I think when I'm ready, I would know that I'm ready. But the conversation has been... Okay, go on.
I think another thing too that really helped, that really, made me not feel any type of way is because I know that last the hair will shall grow. So I wasn't feeling like, oh my God, if I cut this thing now, when am I going to see hair again? No, I knew that my hair will always grow. So that was an easy decision to come to.
So, but how are you finding your new locks? So, you have... First of all, traumatized me personally by cutting off strand after strand and making me do it in the beginning. And then we went getting off the whole sides off. I got used to it. And then one day I just see that everything has gone off and I'm like, okay, well, it's happened. And then when I saw, I think we posted something about somebody's starter locks some months ago, and you're like, this is going to be me in February. And I was like, yes, she's coming back. So now that you are 1 month into this new journey, how does it feel? How does it feel having baby locks? Because you know that, you know how it is. Women diversity. You know when you come to the salon and you see people who are starting out and they are looking at your gorgeous long hair and they're like, hey, when will my hair be like this? When will my hair be like this? And now you're back to square one. How does that feel?
I mean, I feel like, okay, because I've been on this journey before, so I know what to expect. I know that everything is in stages. You know, I know that that the best way to have those types of locks is to start from scratch, is to grow them naturally and grow them until they get there. So I don't look at people and be envious of them. I already know where I'm going because I've already been there. Mm-hmm. So it's not that I just look at it and say, oh, nice hair, but I don't look at it and think to myself, oh my God, when shall I? Because I know I shall. Amen.
Amen. Right.
So I think that's it for me, and I feel like I also look at life in that way. You know, life is in stages and everything has its time. So you just one day at a time.
Yeah. Okay, when I first met you, Pamela, you used to be very corporate. You used to wear suits, you used to wear these tight shoes. I don't even know what they're called, but like I loved your dress sense, and I did know you worked in the corporate. You already had locks, of course, by the time I met you. I'm just wondering, in such a very corporate world and, being a lesbian woman and being obvious about being a lesbian woman, because at least from the first time I met you, I did not feel like you were ever hiding, and then having locked hair, how did that impact before you said activism, which is now like, I wouldn't say, no, I would say the corporate world was more structured and you were working with other people and working under terms of a structured organization. How did your lifestyle, your hair choice impact you in that environment? Was it a positive experience or was it ever negative?
So, luckily for me, at that time, I was working, as I said, in a corporate organization, and I was working, it was an international oil company. So, such organizations have anti-discrimination policies that discriminates they are very specific, that they don't tolerate discrimination or harassment based on perceived or real sexual orientation or gender identity. So what that meant, which everybody working there had to agree to, what that meant was that nobody could harass you because they think you are lesbian or gay or bisexual or queer. Mm-hmm. And nobody could fire you because they think you are lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, trans, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it was an environment that, so even if you were a homophobic person, when you come to work, you leave your homophobia at the gates. Mm-hmm. Then you now go inside. When you come back, you can pick your homophobia and keep it going. But while you are inside there, where me and you we have to interact or we have work to do, you cannot discriminate against me because of that. You cannot ask me silly questions. You cannot, because harassment is not just about doing something. Harassment is also about making somebody feel uncomfortable in the work environment. Mm-hmm. So that can be from maybe making snide remarks or comments, or asking stupid questions, just having, or maybe even cracking stupid or good jokes that make people feel uncomfortable. So everybody understood that, and so it was just about work. People who were my friends were my friends. We went to lunch together, or whatever. But the conversation about my sexuality never, ever, ever came up. So me being the person that I am, I can't find me in a dress. I can't wear a dress because I am working somewhere. So I always wore my suits, my pants, and my shoes. and kept it really, really nice. And people always gave me compliments. So whether they gave me compliments on one side and then once something else later, I don't know. They never said it to me. I didn't ask them, okay, but I was able to do my work and do it well while I was there without having to necessarily change anything about me.
Awesome. Finished. That's well. Whew, there's a lot to learn and a lot that we can adopt from this conversation. I really do hope that this conversation helps somebody out there to break the stereotype in their mind and realize that there's only one race, and it's the human race. And once we know that we are all flesh and blood, like a hair choice, sexual orientation, tribe, race shouldn't be a measure to measure each other and hate each other and harass each other.
Absolutely. And if for anything, it should be about diversity and knowing that the rainbow has many different colors. And it's such a beautiful image because of the colors, not because it's all black, all white, all green, but because it's red, yellow, green, purple, there's now, different colors. And I think that is what brings enjoyment to life. And I feel like if the rainbow wasn't able to exist as the rainbow, if people are not able to exist as they are, then it doesn't really bring out the full potential. You won't see the beauty. People will not be able to give their best self. The rainbow will not look as beautiful. It wouldn't even be a sign of hope, because Christians will tell you that when God destroyed the world with water, when Noah came out of the ark or whatever, and he saw the rainbow, and God made a promise to him that he will never again destroy the earth with water. I'm not a Christian. I'm just giving an example for Christians. So he made a promise to Noah or to the world, whatever, that he will never destroy the earth with water again. And the rainbow was supposed to be the sign of the agreement, that he will never do that. So the rainbow in itself is an expression of diversity, of freedom, of hope, so I think that if people are just able to exist and to just allowed to be and to flourish, then there is no telling where the human race can go. But I feel like if we keep using our differences to harm ourselves and to prevent people from getting opportunities or being their best self, then I feel it does all of us a disservice. And I think there's so much waste and loss that can come from that. So that's my take.
We've been speaking for quite some time now, and I still have a few more questions to go. So I'm going to try and get it all in so I don't take up all of your time. The next question I have is kind of around caring for your locks. Some people think that it's expensive, it's stressful, and yet a lot of us that have locks express freedom when we start to experience our lock journey. So how is caring for your locks for you? And I think I would like you to speak about it from two sides: having long hair for a long time, and then now going back to really short hair. How is caring for your old locks, or how was caring for your old locks, and how is caring for this one right now?
So I think that having baby locks as I do now and having mature long locks as I did then are two different journeys. And because there are two different journeys and at two different stages, the care regimen will be completely different, or different in most cases. For me, I'm the kind of person that I believe that less is more. So I don't really put a lot of things in my hair. I just have my lock cream and my shampoo. That's it. I don't put any mixture. I don't put anything. I don't put oils. Nothing. I don't put anything apart from those two things. And then maybe that thing for anti-dandruff.
Okay.
That's spray that's water-based. Yeah. So apart from those things, I don't put anything else. So, but I feel like at the beginning of the Loc journey, that is where you're setting the foundation. So you want to use products that are water-based, that will not leave residue, because it is at this stage that residue builds. So anything that you did in your hair now that sits there, it is later in your Loc journey that you will see the effects of it. So for me, I just as I said, those are the products that I use. I use water-based products. Less is more. I'm just trying to keep the hair clean, and make sure that it has a good foundation growing to the adult stage.
Right.
By the time your locks are already in the adult stage, you don't really need much, because your hair has already formed the consistency and it just grows into that. So for me, it was just about going for retwists or not. Some people get to that point and they want to be free-formers, so they just let their hair grow naturally without having to retwist it. And then at that point, really again, it's really about keeping it clean, just making sure that it's healthy, not putting anything that will damage your hair or make your hair break or cut. That's it. So I'm not one of those people that, I know there are people that do it, but I'm not one of those people that really put in more, as in plenty products in their hair. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so easy for me to just keep it going.
Right. It has been very interesting watching you grow as a person and as a friend over the years. And I know that I have received a lot of support from you personally in all the things that I do, Locitude, and you're one of our biggest fans, I do remember, I believe that the first time we met, I was still using like a shortlet apartment for my hair studio. I was kind of confused. I think I still had a corporate job myself at that point. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life, and you came in and you were like, I like what you're doing and I think it will grow. And then we moved to that very small space on Etiosa, and then we moved to the plaza, and we've kind of grown with each other. And in my growing, I've also seen you grow, move from the corporate world, start the film, become a filmmaker. I kind of witnessed you shoot a documentary, which I have been planning to shoot one for the past 4 or 5 years now. I don't know when that will come to fruition. And you have shot a whole movie. Oh my God. Like, Pamela, who are you? How did that even happen? Like, the transformation has been like awesome. When I saw the trailer for the movie, I was like, oh my God. I don't think I could even send you a congratulatory message because I was overwhelmed. Like, I can't wait to see it yet. I wish I had seen it before we had this conversation. But can you just tell us a little bit about the movie? I can't help it. And maybe tell people where they can find it and how we can watch it. Because when I get off this podcast, I'm definitely jumping on, the internet to find the movie and watch it.
So, I think of myself, first of all, I think of myself as a major shareholder in Locitude, because as you said, me and you start together from those days when we used to come to that small hotel room or short-let apartment. There was a bed and just one chair, and it was so tight, and everybody would just just stay there and you didn't have so many customers. But I remember I kept telling you, just be doing what you're doing, it will grow. Trust me, it will grow. And look at you today now. You don't blow.
We're not there yet. So we're not there yet.
Anybody that has that in this Lagos, they're not coming to Locitude. Where are they actually going? So that's where Locitude is today, and I'm so proud of you for sticking to it and really making it what it has become. I'm honestly so proud. Anybody that has that, and they ask me, where do your hair? Locitude. So I'm big ambassador for you. I really believe in what you're doing now. So keep it going and keep growing. Regarding the film, so the film is called Ife, and Ife is a short film about Ife and Adora, two women who fall in love over a 3-day date. And as the date goes on, a major secret is revealed. And then the two women have to decide, okay, how much are we really...
Please don't spoil this movie for me. Don't spoil it. I want to go and watch it.
No, I'm just... You will still watch it now. It's just, I'm just giving you the log line. You understand? So they have to decide, okay, how much are we going to sacrifice for us to sustain our love? And so everything plays out from then on. Mm-hmm. So that's what the film is about. And so how did I become a filmmaker? So, Ali, as you said, you were there from the beginning when we shot Under the Rainbow, which you were also part of. You watched us do this Ife thing. So Ife was the executive producer of Ife, is the quality hub organization that I work for. So the whole idea is we wanted to use film, visual storytelling, as a tool for advocacy, to use storytelling to change people's hearts and minds towards social acceptance of LGBTQ women and LGBT people in general. And so what happened was, we actually got funding to sort of tour across Nigeria with Under the Rainbow, which is the documentary that I made in 2018. But then the funding came a bit late, and then we're now faced with a situation where we couldn't do what we wanted to do with the money because of COVID. And so we had to decide what to do with all this money that we had. And so obviously trying to stay within our focus and our vision as an organization and the kind of work that we're trying to do. So we started to make a short film because obviously that kind of film does not exist in Nigeria. Nobody has ever done it. So we decided to do, because you have many films that are LGBT themed that have been done by other organizations in Nigeria, but none like Ife, in the sense that others have been focused on men, so gay men, and stories that have to do with men, but nobody has ever told a story about two women whose stories were being centered as the major theme of the film. And so we decided to do it. So that's really what it is. Right now the film is out. It has already gone to about 12 film festivals across the world. It has been to almost all the major LGBT film festivals.
I feel like I need one of those sirens you have in the club to maybe to pop something with. Please send me my champagne.
Yeah. So it's been incredibly successful. People have really welcomed it. People have loved it. The reviews have been awesome. They've written multiple reviews about it. So now the film is at EHTV Network, so www.ehtvnetwork.com, and that's where the film is sitting, and anybody anywhere in the world can go over there and pay a little fee, about $6-7 euros, to watch the film. The proceeds go back to what's helping us to tell more stories, because we're actually planning a sequel. So Ife is a short film, it's about 35 minutes. But the script for the next one, which continues the story, is a feature-length film, so it's much longer. So all of this support goes to help to making sure that actually becomes a reality. So that's pretty much it. Really. So how did I get there? I think for me, So, at the beginning stages of my activism, I was always, very angry and shouting all the time. But, you cannot really continue with that energy. So you have to find a way to channel it into something meaningful, something people can actually engage with, something that creates impact, and something that that can actually do the work for you without you having to shout all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's really what got me there. And to be honest with you, I'm a creative at heart, so it was easy for me to just transition into that role.
Wow. Awesome. I have learned so much from this conversation. I've learned a bit more about the LGBT community itself. I've also learned about the freedom that you can come to just in being true to who you are and the choices that you make, including deciding to wear your hair natural or in whatever form that you choose. And that expression of self is like really one of those things that allows us to grow. We've also talked a little bit about shedding some of the colonial mentality that still exists within us. We've also learned through your cutting your hair and starting over again and starting in different forms in your life over and over again, that resilience is a character that you can build, and really and truly your self-expression is a way to show it. We've also talked about preconceptions that we have about each other that kind of need to change, and people are not defined by their beliefs, their bisexuality, by their color of their skin, their religion, and all of that. So this conversation has really been packed, and I think one of the two most useful things or three, let me save this three. I don't even know which one to start with. I think most of the organizations in Nigeria need to adopt anti-discrimination policies. People should be free to be themselves in their place of work, because I think that's where it starts from. People are trying to find a decent form of living, and then you start discriminating against their hair, their sexuality, their color of their skin. I hear there are some companies that don't employ some girls if they're not yellow enough. It's just ridiculous. Yep. So we need to kind of start an active, companies and organizations need to actively adopt anti-discrimination policies. So that's one. Two, I would say, is that what joins us together is that we're all from one race, and that's the human race. And last but not the least, we cannot be shouting all the time. Let's just channel that energy into work. And we cannot be shouting all the time. So one final and last question for you, because I think this is potentially the longest podcast I've actually shot or recorded so far. Is what advice do you have to anyone out there who is looking at locks as a hair choice into expressing themselves and coming out? What advice do you have for them?
Well, I always find it difficult to answer this question when people ask me, because I feel like everybody's reality is different. And now the person where they wear the shoe, now the person know where it's in the picture. So I feel like, people should take stock of what's happening in their lives, where they are, and make a decision about what to do, where you are, what you think about the future, and how you want to get there. For me, my hair is a form of expression. For some people, it may not be so. For some people, it may be something else. But for people that want to have that, for me, it has been a very beautiful experience, starting something from scratch, and I mean from scratch, like zero, and watching it grow, nurturing it for 8 years. It became this big thing. I think that just that experience alone has been rewarding. It has taught me lessons about life. So it has been a great journey. And if anybody wants to embark on it, just know that it's a journey. This dada you see that looks very beautiful, it didn't happen overnight. there's a lot of care and attention that goes into it. So just know that don't come in with high expectations that, oh, I'll knock my hair today, next week it will now be this beautiful thing. It doesn't work like that. Then for people who might be wanting to come out, well, I don't know. As I said, you're the one wearing the show. You know where your life is. You know what's going on. So this decision to come out or not to come out is completely yours. And make sure that when you take a decision that you're willing and able to live with it for the rest of your life. So whether it is, or for the time being, because you might decide to do something today and tomorrow you might decide to change course. So also just don't be too don't put too much pressure on yourself that, oh my God, I must see this through, and if I don't see it, it means I'm this and that. No, it's nothing like that. Just take it one day at a time. When you decide to do something, go ahead and do it. If you feel along the way that, okay, this is I say, the two work like this, make a change and like this, it's still okay. The whole point is that you keep moving and that you're not stagnant and you keep learning and keep growing. So for me, that would be my own advice.
Yeah, keep it moving. Do not be stagnant. Keep growing. And one step at a time. Yeah, one step at a time, definitely. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. This has been, again, another informative, educative, and entertaining session. And I'm going to go and watch Ife. That's just to wrap it up right now.
Go and watch Ife.
I'm going to watch Ife. So thank you so much, Pamela. It's been an honor having you on the show.
Yes. Thank you so much, Adie. Ife has an Instagram page. It's at Ife_movie. So at IFE_MOVIE. So follow Ife on Instagram. When you click on the link on Ife's profile, you take you directly to watching Ife. And tell everybody you know. Yeah, support us. Thank you so much, Adie. It's been my pleasure.
All right, then. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye. So, I did watch Ife, and I quite enjoyed it. I now very much look forward to seeing the sequel. As promised in the beginning of this episode, I do have a giveaway for you. You can watch Ife for a 10% discount using the promo code I will provide to you shortly. But first, you can find a link to the movie on their official Instagram page at Ife_movie. At Ife_movie is spelled IFE_movie, which is MOVIE. At checkout, you can apply the promo code Locitude10. Locitude is spelled LOCITUDE and then the number 10. In case you didn't get that, I'll say it in NATO phonetic alphabet for you. So it's Lima, Oscar, Charlie, India, Tango, Uniform, Delta, Echo, and then the number 10. Locitude 10. This allows you to receive your 10% discount. This discount has been graciously provided to us, the Talking Locs with Locitude listeners, by the Equality Hub and EHTV network. So thank you very much, guys. In our next episode, we will be taking things down a notch and be speaking to a locked couple in love. That episode is one that you really want to listen to. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Talking Locs podcast with Locitude. It has been such a pleasure being your host. My name again is Adie Balogun, and thanks to our producer, Savage Media. Please don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at Locitude, LOCITUDE, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And for more interesting podcast episodes on Everyday People with Locs, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We are currently on Google, Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. And don't forget to keep it locked with an attitude. Bye.